When I think back, before Rockstar was only known for the cowboy game or the stealing cars game, I like to think of the incredible repertoire of titles that they made, like Bully, LA Noire, and of course, Max Payne 3. Released over 13 years ago, the game breaks away from the noirish New York setting for a more stylized action thriller that takes place in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And to be fair, while incredibly polarizing at the time, the title gained a significant cult-like following over the years, and it's considered one of the most refined third-person shooters to ever hit the market. The game shows a much more broken and substance-dependent Max that has been drowning much of his sorrows for his late wife and daughter in a whiskey river that could rival that of Willie Nelson. He finds himself working security detail for a very rich family in Brazil with his partner Passos, and keeps consistently getting thrown into chaos because of a criminal organization that's targeting them.
Just another day at the office, huh?
It's obvious Rockstar writing with the over-the-top drug-addicted characters, but because of how the game is framed, Max fits in almost perfectly, because he's taking enough painkillers to kill 2.5 men. Combine how the entire experience is coated in an ugly filter that's representative of Max's alcoholism, and it further solidifies that this is the character at his worst, battling trauma and addiction, eventually having to sober up and become more reliable to those around him. Which leads him to shaving his head and going on a rescue mission to find the missing wife of the family he's protecting that's being held for ransom by the criminal organization I aforementioned earlier. And brings me to the primary gripe of the constant unskippable cutscenes, because they function as loading screens and sometimes they can honestly drag on horribly, and somewhat ruins the replayability of the game. But in all honesty, the real magic is the shooting in this game, because it is absolutely incredible in every conceivable way. The way Max stays centered on the reticle while moving freely through space is pretty mesmerizing. And when you pair that with the immense amount of fluidity in the shoot dodge animations, it becomes something of a technical masterpiece when you put it into practice. And the animation becomes interrupted if Max happens to hit anything in the process, and I also couldn't help but find it very intuitive the way he actually gets back to his feet. The animations are so smooth and never seem to get old because they happen so naturally. And the game borrows the language of modern cover-based shooters, but it never lets that cover feel safe. In a franchise that's so built on offense, it feels crazy going in defense in Max Payne 3. You're not locking into chest-high walls to control the fight, you're ducking behind them because standing still for half a second's gonna get you killed. It's a required mechanic to utilize, and it's structured to where you need to use it nearly as much as your shoot dodge ability to navigate the bullet hell just a little bit easier. The way Max holds his weapon seems pretty realistic as well, while only being able to hold one long arm weapon without dual wielding, and once you decide to do so, he'll drop the long gun and draw both shorthand pistols. It adds another layer to each encounter that was definitely insane for a 2012 game. After killing the last person in every gunfight, you get a bullet cam where Max will unload the remaining bullets into the enemy in super gory fashion. Not only does it signal the end of the current battle, but it makes for an incredibly satisfying eye candy as well. And the final point of the gameplay I wanted to touch on was how the enemies react so dynamically to being shot in the most brutal ways. You can see Rockstar's Euphoria engine on full display for the first time outside of its debut in Grand Theft Auto 4. Well, actually, table tennis, but who the hell counts that? Wow! The level design is also top-notch, featuring various high-octane fueled environments such as nightclubs, office buildings, favelas, and even a couple of flashback missions in Panama and New Jersey respectively. I would definitely say that in terms of level design, the Max Payne franchise has never disappointed. With the amount of different noir-style levels there are in the first two games, it would be idiotic for Rockstar not to follow that up in a way that they understood. Some places get pretty damn destructible, but all stay hypnotically aesthetic, with the shootout in the office being my favorite.
Get down behind the desk, now, both of you.
Each stage has multiple scripted sequences where Max will do something spectacular and bullet time triggers automatically. Then you have the chance to mow down multiple enemies in a crazy way that is incredibly satisfying to watch. It's honestly just another over-the-top action sequence that is really awesome to play with and makes you realize that in a world where bullet time has been made a household mechanic with most shooters, Max Payne will forever hold a particular uniqueness that no shooter will ever come close to. But I'd also like to take a minute and really hone in on the fact that yes, the cutscenes are unskippable and it's highly annoying, but when you take into account that this is the first game that Rockstar ever made inside of the Rage engine that wasn't an open world title and contains an immense amount of detail that's packed into every corner, it's not hard to understand why it's taking place. When you transition from cutscenes to gameplay almost seamlessly, there's going to be a little bit of a trade-off. And this is also going to be a super hot take, but Max Payne 3 is my favorite in the entire franchise. I enjoy Rockstar's writing to an incredible degree, and I loved how the entire game just flowed perfectly. If you don't mind the unskippable cutscenes, you can literally play this from beginning to end without a single loading screen, and I think that is an incredible technical achievement for a 2012 game. And just another couple things before I wrap it up here, I thought it was so cool the way that Max can lay on the ground and spin in a full 360-degree angle in a prone position while still shooting. I think it adds a lot more nuance because I don't have to get back to my feet to keep firing. And in terms of difficulty, I definitely find this a much harder game than the first two. If you have a painkiller on you, you can revert to a last stand mechanic that gives you the opportunity to kill the person who dealt you the fatal shot. And if you tear them down, you get to keep going. Also, I remember playing this game back on the PS3 and it was locked at 30 FPS, but the optimization for the PC version is definitely the best running at a buttery smooth frame rate and offering the true experience of how the game was supposed to be played. So if there's any version you pick up, make sure it's this one. And all these reasons and then some are exactly why Max Payne 3, in my opinion, is the greatest third-person shooter that was ever made. The addictive gameplay, tragic nature of the story, and all-around details that are seen in every aspect from the animations to the level design, combine to capture a highly compelling send-off for one of gaming's most iconic pioneer characters, and I enjoyed it almost perfectly from beginning to end. And if you've never played it, it's something I'd highly recommend you play at least once. And with that, I'm Colton on YouTube, and I'm just getting started with this whole content creation thing, so make sure you show support. And what game do you want to see me tackle? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.